On the ideal day, I wake up at 5:15 and my son wakes up at 6:30. I know that may sound insane, and sometimes it feels insane, but I never regret whenever I wake up before my son. I never regret it. No matter how tired I am, I would rather have a day where I'm able to get up, get going, than a day where I just feel scrambled all day. Hey, my son is awake. Example A, I woke up with my son because he had a very hard night sleeping. I'm pretty sure he's teething and going through a sleep regression. I just did not have the time to film while he was sleeping today. So we're gonna do the best we can. He is pulling up so much. He is interested in the tripod, very needed because he is teething. We're just gonna see how far we can get through this video, but I'm confident that he's in a decent mood. I'm right here. We can film this. We can do this, buddy. So in this video, I'm going to share why I wake up so early and a few tips that have helped me wake up as early as I do. And hopefully will help you if this is something that you want. Because I do understand that it is not something that every mom wants or is just actually able to do, and that's totally okay. So I'm gonna just go ahead and jump into this video and tell you why I have found it worth waking up so early. Reason number one is I get so much more stuff done. I want to elaborate on that because I think that's a little obvious. If you wake up early, then yeah, maybe you get more stuff done. But no, like I have the motivation, the energy, the ability to get and knock out the stuff that is not fun or not enticing, like the stuff that I need to do, but I don't want to do. So some days that's meal prep. It is very hard for me to meal prep when Bear is awake. And so if there is any way I can meal prep first thing in the morning and knock it out and know that when it's time to cook dinner, if all I have to do is put it in a pan, it's ready to go, or put it in a crock pot that morning, it's ready to go, that's a game changer. So it just helps me get other chores done as well. I can go ahead and put a load of laundry in so that it's done in the morning, so I'm not waiting till nighttime to fold it and put it away when I don't want to. I'm also just more of a morning person when I am able to get up early in the morning, so I have more energy, I'm more alert, I'm more motivated. And so if I'm able to work on YouTube, whether that's editing or just brainstorming and planning, then morning is the most ideal. And so that is something I didn't do this morning, something that I had to do during nap time, which then just pushed me back to where I'm now filming. And I need to get this done today because I'm going out of town next week and I'm now filming with him awake. But you know, we're making it work. But ideally, this would have been done. I would have been more focused and I would have been getting either other stuff done around the house or giving him more time and attention. He was very quiet and I was concerned. Did you find a piece of paper? Another thing that waking up earlier and getting stuff done earlier frees me up to just have guiltless rest time later in the day, especially on sleepless nights. I'm not a huge napper, but sometimes I just want to set my alarm for like 30 minutes and I'll read and then just close my eyes for like 10 minutes. So I don't actually fall asleep, but I am resting. I understand, like, I don't need to feel guilty about resting, but when I have other things to do around the house, it's harder for me to rest. So maybe not guiltless resting, but just, I don't know, I can actually just rest well and I can turn my brain off when I know the things that need to be done are done. And I can watch a show if I want to while he's napping. I can just read, I can just do what I want to do without worrying about every spare moment being filled with chores or things that I just don't love doing all the time. It's already done. But this last reason is what made me really try and wake up before. And it's, I just wake up so much calmer when I wake up to my alarm versus when I wake up to him crying. In the middle of the night when he cries, it's harder for me to go back to sleep even after he's been asleep or goes back to sleep because I can feel my heart rate going, like my adrenaline, I just kind of like fight or flight kind of moment. And that's the same thing in the morning. Like I'm just like, okay, I gotta get up, and I'm just kind of groggy and moving and slugging through the morning very slowly. When I wake up to my alarm, I just wake up more calmer, I'm more attentive, I'm more ready to take on the day when he wakes up. And it's that cliche of like, I'm filling my cup before I have to fill his. That's kind of what made me like, okay, I'm gonna try and get up before he gets up. Let's see how I can make this work. Now for maybe the part you prefer, which is the practical implications, practical ways you can actually try and wake up. And like I said, this is what works for me. I've had to do kind of trial and error of what works and what doesn't work. And this is what's worked so far. I've not been doing this long, but when I do it, it works great. Tip number 1, and I feel like this is in most kind of self-help or productivity videos of getting up early, but there's so much truth to it, is start getting ready for the next day the night before. It's harder to get up in the morning when you go to bed all frazzled or like not ready for the next day. It really does truly start the night before. And for me, what helps me get up well and early the next morning is, of course, when I go to bed earlier. So Bear goes down as early as 6:30. That's like the earliest he'll go down, unless he's had like a really bad nap day and he had a really long last wake window, then I'll put him down like 6 or 6:15. But 6:30 is about the earliest. 7 is the absolute latest that I try and put him down, and if everything is going well, unless we're out, then maybe a little bit later. Ideally, like Gunther and I are in bed, ready for bed, showered and everything by 8 o'clock. And it's not that we're falling asleep at 8 o'clock, but if we're in bed by 8, then we're reading, and I love pillow talk. Gunther does not like pillow talk. But if we're in bed earlier, then it allows for a little bit of time without this pressure of like, I need to get to sleep, to have some of that pillow talk. And it's a good compromise for both of us. So we just like are in bed, reading, anything that pops to mind, not feeling the pressure to not talk about it because one person's trying to sleep. And then if we're in bed that early, we usually are like ready to go to sleep around 9. And it is wonderful. So if I'm like in bed by 9 or asleep by 9 and I wake up at 9:15, that's 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's like 8 hours of sleep, assuming Bear does not wake up, assuming everything goes well, okay? You have to remember that. But even if it is interrupted, that's 8 hours of interrupted sleep, unlike it's like 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep. And I'm a girl who needs 8 to 9 hours. I just know that about myself. It's where I thrive, that 8 to 9 hour mark. So another thing that I do before going to bed early is I try and plan out my day. I look at my planner. I have put anything on my to-do list that I need to get done that day. I try and leave it vague because it is harder to plan to a T with a baby. So I try and have like some gauge of like, okay, I want to get these 3 things done. My mind is not reeling as much of what I need to get done when I'm looking at what I need to get done the night before. But prepping for the next day also means like making the coffee. So setting it so you're having it whenever you want in the morning, and laying out your clothes for the next morning. For me, I like to have my quiet time in the morning, and so I'll just make sure my Bible and everything is ready to go right where I want it in the morning, so it's not just, there's not something else I need to do before I get it done in the morning.
This is my Bible study corner. So I literally just come out from my bedroom, out here in the morning, sit here, and I already have my Bible study, my Bible, my book, my prayer books, and then in here, where is it? I think it's in here I have different Bible study pens. So I'm all set.
So speaking of Bible study, that leads me into my next tip, which is have something to do in the morning that gets you excited to get out of bed. If I'm being honest, quiet time, like reading my Bible first thing in the morning, does not always excite me to get out of bed. But for some people, it may be drinking a cup of coffee in silence, in peace with your quiet time, or it could just be having quiet time without disruption. There's definitely perks of having quiet time with your children watching, because they get to see you doing that and having that habit. But especially right now with him being so young. Hey, hi. Mwah. Are you giving me kisses? Oh, thank you for the kiss. Oh. Well, we're just gonna leave that off. No, we're not gonna play with that. Play with your toys. Hi, hopefully this has not messed up my sound. But yeah, as I was saying, it's just nice to have time that I know I'm gonna start my day off well. Especially now it's like Christmas time, you're literally right in front of the Christmas tree. So to have like just the Christmas tree light on to, make it a little aesthetic and romanticize it a little bit, put some worship music on and just have some quiet time uninterrupted. I know. So right now that is something that excites me, and it may change in the future, but that's something that helps me get out of bed in the morning. Another tip is to put your alarm clock across the room. So right now, unfortunately, I still do use my phone. I'm trying to get I want to get a certain alarm clock before I just start sleeping without my phone in my room at all. It's helpful to put your phone across the room, or your alarm clock across the room, so you have to get up. This still requires some willpower, because there was a time when I would try and get up so early. This was like before Bear was even born. And I would go wake up, turn my alarm off, and go back to bed. Like, I just became a habit. Hey, what's wrong, buddy? You sound like a little old man. Next tip is to turn off all screens before 8 p.m. Like, even if you're going to bed at 10 p.m., like, as much as you can, it really does make a difference. Even if you're able to fall asleep, you're not getting the best quality of sleep if you have your screens on. And trust me, I know this is hard, especially if your husband's been at work, or you guys have been apart, or if you just are alone at home and you just want to watch something because you haven't all day. I get it. And so there are many times when my phone is not off, the TV is not off before 8 p.m. Sometimes that doesn't always happen. So I don't know if I just made sense, but basically, as much as you can, try and have your screens off by 8 p.m. to guarantee better quality sleep, because that does help. You tell them. Next tip is to take magnesium. This is something I started doing when I was having a hard time going back to sleep, when Bear would wake up in the middle of the night. And I think it also does help my quality of sleep. So I'm not waking up in the middle of the night as much anymore, but it sometimes helps when I do wake up, and it definitely helps me sleep better when I don't wake up. And then the last little encouragement is, of course, to give yourself grace. You just have to, because if you're so strict on yourself and you're like, I can only do this if I keep it going, then you're gonna fail, because you're not perfect, and babies are humans and they need you at different times of night, different times of day. Each day looks different, but as much as you can, if you can have more days where you're striving to be more productive and start the day off on the right foot, then go for it. And this is a big way I'm able to do that, by waking up before Bear. Even if it's at 5:15, then that's when it is. That's all for today. I gotta go. I hope that was helpful.